2 months and like 2 weeks. Yeah. They started smiling and everything. Yeah. It's pretty magical. Yeah. My wife's parents come in. They're here and they're helping us. And they come in at like 7 when we're about to like die, and then her mother comes in and sweeps them up and feeds. I don't know what we do. But yeah, they're amazing. Okay, let me just think. Hold on. There we go. This goes out the cord sometimes. There we go. Okay. And we're on. Okay, cool. Awesome. So, for those of you who don't know, hey, I'm Ben. I'm serving as a rabbi, cantor, accompanist, tap dancer today, service leader. So we start every service here with what we call a nagun. It's a wordless melody. So we don't have to worry about, I don't know these words, I don't know this. It's a wordless melody. Jews have been doing it for thousands of years. It's called a nagun, and try sing along. You know, we sing on a la 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 la, or ya, whatever you want. Ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da. We repeat. Ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da da, ya da da da, ya da da da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da. Now, as we sing it, we're gonna do what we call a kavanah, which means intention. And whatever happened this week, whether it's good or bad, we're just gonna let it fade away so we can embrace Shabbat, we can embrace the peace, the comfort that we get every week. Just as we sing these words, just bring that intention in, just let the week go, whatever's bothering you, and let peace come into your heart. Ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da da, ya da da da, ya da da da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da. Ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da da da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da. Shalom, 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 da 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 da. Great. Glenn, would you like to light the candles? So we always light candles at the beginning of Shabbat. Traditionally, people do it at home. The Reform movement, we brought it into the synagogue to teach people how to do it. But traditionally, people do it at home right before the sun sets. And I can show you. It's right here. Page 2. Yeah. What's interesting about this is usually we say a bracha, which is a blessing, before we eat. There's like hundreds of different kinds of blessings. And we usually say the blessing and then eat. So you'll see that when we say the blessing over the challah, we say Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, it's the name of the blessing, and then we eat. So we make the blessing, we say the prayer, and then we do the mitzvah, which is like the connection or commandment. But with this is very interesting. We light the candles and then we say it. So it's the opposite. There's reasons for that. Yeah. Does this work? There we go. Oh, we can do that too. There we go. And once the candles are lit, we almost. Yeah, you can use that. Yeah. Once the candles are lit, then we bring the light towards us. With our hands, we bring the light in 3 times. So we all do this. Bringing more light into our lives, the light of the Creator. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. Hey, here you go, Glenn. Oh, sorry. Here you go, Glenn. Here you go. Thanks. And you know what? I'm going to do this. Traditionally, we usually do the wine right in the beginning. But traditionally, the Jews really do it at the end, right before the challah. So I'm going to wait to do it till then. It's a little bit of a change. And we go to page 6, and we read at the bottom. Page 6. May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May the synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to richer and more meaningful life. We now turn to page 6. At the top, we sing a little Hinei Ma Tov. This is a song to say how good it is to be with each other. Hinei Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Aten Gam Yachad. Page 10 at the top. Hinei Ma Tov U'Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. 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 All right, we turn to page 12 for a little Lachuna Ranana, singing to God, joyously to Adonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena l'Adonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena l'Adonai. Nariha, nariha, letzor hishenu, nekad machana b'toda. Nariha, nariha, letzor hishenu, bizmirot nariha lo. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena l'Adonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena l'Adonai. We usually take this time right now to introduce introduce ourselves to each other. So if you want to, let's just do this. Let's just go around. And this relates to what the Parsha is this week. The Parsha, which is the portion of the Torah that we do every week. Every week, all across the world, Jews read a different portion of the Torah, and it goes in order, and we finish it within a year, and then we start over. And every year we do start over again, because there's deeper and deeper meaning every time we do this. So let's just go around, and I want to just say one beautiful thing that happened this week. It could just be, we got here. That could be it. Or it didn't snow or rain, something like that. But it's just your name and something beautiful that happened this week. Let's start, Jesse. Sorry to put you on the spot. I'll start. How's that? So we're getting it going. Like I said before, my kids started to smile this week. And name and something beautiful. Okay, just your name then. It's fine. It's Jesse. Seth. Nice. Go ahead. I said your name already. I cheated. Name and something beautiful happened this week. Name and say your name out loud and something beautiful that happened this week. Hey, Glenn. Nice. Nice. Josie. Nice. Myrna. Nice. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, we turn to page 20. This is Lechado D. We welcome Shabbat in with Lechado D and page 20. And we do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. We don't do all the verses here. And on the last verse, we stand and we welcome in the energy, the feminine energy, the Shabbat bride into the synagogue. Lechadodi lekat kalha yadadai 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 ne Shabbat ne kabelai lechadodi lekat kalha yadadai 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 ne Shabbat ne kabelai shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad Hishmiyanu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem u'tiferet v'letchila Lechad dodi lechad kala yadadai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekabelai Lechad dodi lechad kala yadadai yadadai Bnei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 2 Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nehelcha ki himikor habaracha mirosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh v'machshava tchila lechad dodi lechad kala yadadai 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 Bnei Shabbat nekabelai lechad dodi lechad kala yadadai 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 Bnei Shabbat Nekabela Hitorari Kiva orech umiuri Uri Shidaberi Kavod Adonai Halai Lech Nigla Lechadodi Lechvat Kala Yadadai Ne Shabbat Nekabela Lechadodi Lechvat Kala Yadadai Ne Shabbat Nekabela. We rise if you're able and face the door and welcome the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam b'simcha uv'zola tochem monei am segula boi chala Lechadodi Lechvat Kala Yadadai Ne Shabbat Nekabela Lechadodi Lechvat Kala Yadadai Ne Shabbat Nekabela. We turn back to Yismachu and actually, what page is that? Yismachu. It's usually in here. Yismachu on page 13 and then 44. So we go to page 13, and that's the beginning, the Yismachu on the very bottom, the bottom paragraph, and then we jump to page. Jump to page 44 for Shalom Alechem. Sorry, for Yismachu, the other Yismachu. Okay, here we go. Yismachu Hashamayim, Yismachu Hashamayim, Yismachu Hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz again. Yismechu hashamayim. Yismechu hashamayim. Yismechu hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. V'hiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam umelo, oh Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam umelo. Page 44. Yismechu v'malakutecha shomre, shomre, shomre Shabbat v'korek oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malakutecha shomre, shomre, shomre Shabbat v'korek oneg Shabbat. Mikadashe shevi Shabbat kulam yisbeu v'yitangu metu v'eka Shabbat. Yismechu v'malakutecha shomre, shomre, shomre Shabbat v'korek oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malakutecha shomre, shomre, shomre Shabbat v'korek oneg Shabbat. Uhashvi'i rasita bo v'kidashto Shabbat chemdad yamim oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malakutecha shomre, shomre, shomre Shabbat korek oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malakutecha Shomre, 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 Shabbat v'korek, Orek Shabbat. Zecher L'maseh, L'maseh Bereshit Shabbat, Chemdar Yamim. Oh, L'maseh Bereshit Shabbat, Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomre, 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 Shabbat v'korek, Orek Shabbat, Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomre, 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 Shabbat, v'korek, Orek Shabbat. We turn to page Marivarima, page. See here, it's right before Shema. Yeah, 34. Sorry. Page. It's 30. Page 30. I think, right, page 30. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. 32, page 32 for Avad Olam. This is a traditional melody that Jews have been singing for thousands of years. The melody comes from the European Jewish tradition. For those who don't know, there are Jews all over the world. There's Ethiopian Jews that have come back to Israel. And there's Senegalese Jews, Jews in Asia. There's Jews. My wife's parents are from Iraq. They fled Iraq. There used to be thousands of years. The biggest Jewish population was in Iraq, more than anywhere in the world at some point. It used to be called Babylon. There's one Jew left there. And there's two synagogues. There happen to be two synagogues and one Jew. Why is there two synagogues and one Jew? Because this is the synagogue he goes to, and that's the synagogue he won't dare step his foot in. That's the Jewish joke, wherever you go. Okay. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amchavta Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Otanu lemadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu B'shachbenu u'bekumenu Natziach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'b'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki chem chayenu Ve'orech yameinu U'vahem negeh Yomam v'layla. We now turn to page 34 for the most important prayer in Judaism. It's called the Shema. Jews say this twice a day, 7 days a week. It's the most important prayer. It declares God's oneness, and that when we have oneness, we don't have confusion. When there's oneness, there's wholeness within us, within ourselves. God would never give us conflicting, go over here and do that at the same time. You know, very often we do that in our lives. We have two different decisions and they both look good. God gives us one correct path. So what we usually do is we cover our eyes in order to go more inward when we say this. And then the second part, the Baruch, on the second page is whispered all year round except for Yom Kippur, which is the one day we say it really loud. So if I start whispering, it's not because I'm trying to throw you. That's what it is. All right, so we cover our eyes if you want. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך, page 36, ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, Adonai Elohechem Emet. Emet means truth. We say the bottom, this is the translation of this, page 36, this is the V'ahavta prayer. It always goes with the Shema. It tells us, to follow God, with all our heart and all our soul, with all our might, and love God. And through loving God, we also love our fellow human being. So let's, page 36, we'll read it in English. You shall love Adonai with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home, and when you are on your way, when you lie down, and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments, and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Just want to say, we say commandments. This is translated as commandments, but we say mitzvot. Mitzvah is one. It's like a commandment or good deed, but it's really, and mitzvot is plural. In Hebrew, you add ot to a singular, or there's other, like yelda, like children is yeled, and yelda is yeladim. You usually add im or ot to make it plural in Hebrew, and they don't. There's no like actual. There's reasons because it sounds good. But mitzvah, the word mitzvah, it's a really means connection. Connects us to God. When we do something, when we do a mitzvah, when we say a bracha, when we eat the challah, when we pray together, it connects us to God. Just like if you have a friend and you do something good for them, it connects you to the friendship more, or a husband or wife or partner. When we do something for them to serve them, it connects us more. And the more of that we can do, the better our relationships are with God or with other people. Okay, we turn to page 40 for actually let's read page 39. We'll read it in the English. When the Jews crossed over the Sea of Reeds, they sang this song in unison. Page 39, top of the 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40, Michamocha. Ya da da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 hey da 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 ya da 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 mihi kamocha ba'alim Adonai mihi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Noradi Lord, O Sefele, Noradi Lord, O Sefele, Mahalechutecha, Rauvanecha, Bokei Ayam, Lifne Moshe Miriam, Zeli, Zeli, Anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב ויעלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. We now turn to page 42 for Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomrenu L'chaim Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha. Amen. We sing on Amen. 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 Shelter us with your peace. Shelter us with your peace. Oh God, shelter us with your peace. Sing it with me, shelter us. Shelter us with your peace. Shelter us with your peace. Shelter us with your peace. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom V'hamidenu Shomrenu L'chaim V'hamidenu Shomrenu L'chaim. Page 44, V'shamru. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Again, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ראובן בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We turn to page 46 and we rise for one of the most important prayers aside from the Shema. I just want to draw your attention to this. On page 48, I'll call it the pages, we say the names of the patriarchs and matriarchs. Patriarchs and matriarchs are who we come from, the people that brought monotheism to the world. Adam and Eve knew about monotheism, and Noah knew about monotheism, but the world really wasn't ready to accept it. They were the ones who brought it down from the Garden of Eden, but the people that really brought it to the world and got people to study it and transformed people, and from this all the different religions came, were Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We'll talk about that. Abraham was the father of monotheism, and his son Isaac, and Jacob became Yisrael, who became the Jewish people, the 12 tribes of Israel. And we say their names in this. We say the names of them and their wives, who were better prophets than them. Judaism, people believe that we believe that women are feminine energy, are more superior. It's more godly. It's rather masculine energy is very usually distracted. I have to check my phone, excuse me. That sort of thing. But feminine energy, my mom and my sister and every female in my life I usually go to for advice because they're more clear-headed. My dad usually, who's listening in, and go, that kind of thing. And it's a compliment, Dad, I love you. Okay, so we rise for 46, and there's 2 times in this where we bow, and just watch me for that. And we don't stay bowed when we're saying God's name, because we want to have a relationship, a direct friendship, connection with God. There's no intermediary in Judaism. We start on page 46. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh hakol, v'zocher chazdei avot v'imaod, u'mevii gula libnei v'nehem, l'man shemo v'yahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah. Page 50. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye metim atah rav lehoshia. Mashiva ruach umarid hagashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye metim berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rafeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, melech memit, umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'aman atah lechayot metim. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hametim. Page 52. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. HaKadosh means holy. I find that it's really good to just learn like little words of Hebrew, and then as we say these prayers, if we don't even know what the rest of the words mean, we hear these little bits of Kadosh, and we go, oh, something about holiness there, right? And that's enough for us, and then we learn little bit by little bit, and it's beautiful. We now take this time to go inward. You can stay standing, you can sit, whatever you want to do, to just talk to God, set an intention, ask God for something, thank God for something. Just feel your breath. In today's Parsha, which is Toldot, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, every time God says somebody sat, seems like so silly that in this really deep, wisdom, that he's sitting. Like Abraham sat. Isaac, his son, sat. It's like, just says that. Like, what's the point? It actually means meditate. It means sitting with ourselves. It means going inward, it means to just slow down, which is the hardest thing, I think, for all of us these days. So take this time and go inward, and then we'll come back afterward. And notice our breath. Notice your breath and notice if we're holding it all. Every morning, Jews that follow this say Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehorahu, which means that my soul is pure, I was born pure, I was not born in sin. Everybody is born, your soul is born pure. Just know that. God breathed life into us. And if you want, turn to page 60 for Shalom Rav. This is a song of peace. We transition, the prayers are very specific. We transition from asking for peace for ourselves and noticing our soul within us to ask peace for the world. We can't heal the world until we heal ourselves. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol et ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. At this time we take this time to pray for other people, people that are sick, people that need help, whether it's spiritual help or physical help. We can say a prayer for ourselves too, whether it's privately or out loud. I'm going to ask in the middle if you want to say any names of friends, family, anyone, even people that you see out in the world. Feel free to mention them by name or whatever you feel comfortable with. Avodenu מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Anybody? Anybody? מי שברך אמותינו, מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the parsha this week. It's Toldot. And it involves, so we're talking about the patriarchs and matriarchs. The patriarch, Abraham, which is our the main father of monotheism. He brought monotheism to the world. He had thousands and thousands of students in what we call a yeshiva, where yeshuv means to sit, which we're doing right now. Yeshuv, they even use this word in Hebrew, in Israel, where different, yeshuv is like a place where you have a development, a neighborhood. It's where people sit. They lie their feet down, literally. So Abraham had a wife named Sarah. She gave birth late in life to a son named Isaac. Abraham had another son with Hagar, which is his maidservant, because they didn't think he was going to have, Sarah was going to be able to have kids. And then after Sarah passed away, he had other concubines and things he had a lot more kids with. But his main son, who he entrusted all this spirituality to, that was blessed, was Isaac. And then Isaac married a woman named Rivka, and Rivka also had late in life two twins. This is appropriate for me because they were twins and they were in the same womb. And she had a son named Yaakov, who eventually changed his name to Yisrael, which is the Jewish people. He had 12 sons. And they became the 12 tribes of Israel. And so when these two babies were in Rivka's womb, when she would walk, there was Yaakov and also Esav, which through these different children, different nations were born. And God calls these nations. There's two nations within her womb. And when she would go by a house, because there was idolatry then, they had like people that worshipped idols. When we think of idolatry, so it's not so bad. It's a statue. We pray to it. What's the harm from that? But what these idolaters did, they had child sacrifice. They were drinking blood. Glenn was talking about, when he goes to the house, there's certain food that he won't eat. As Jews, we bring spirituality into our diet. Muslims do this too, to a certain extent. All of our dietary laws are accepted by Muslims. Like Muslims will eat kosher food. It's acceptable according to the halal standard. But when she would go by houses of idolatry, which we call avodah zarah, it's idol worship, she would feel a stirring in her womb. And then when she would go past holy places that were brought to the world by Abraham, she would feel a stirring in her womb. She was very confused about this, so she asked different people, and people couldn't tell her. And then she went to God. She says, "You have two nations in your womb, and one will be a wicked nation, and one will be a nation that's blessed and holy," which thank God is us, And so she had these two nations, and it said that the younger one will serve the older one. So just as the babies were about to be born, Yaakov was supposed to be born first, and Esav just in the last moment grabbed onto his heel and pulled him back in, and he was born first. And as old customs go, the firstborn got the birthright. So all the firstborns got the blessings of the dowry, all the blessings from the father. But unfortunately, Esav, who eventually became Rome. So this is where all these different nations come from. Ishmael, which was Abraham's brother, became Islam, and Esav becomes Rome, which eventually becomes Roman Catholic Church and things like that, which they purified some of the Roman stuff and brought more of our traditions into that. So throughout their lives, Isaac would always treat them equally. And he believed that he saw these wicked things that Esav used to do. He was very about hunting. He was about violence. He was about like hunting for sport. Jewish people, we have something called a shochet. We talk about kosher law. Whether you eat kosher or not, we believe that like hunting is not a sport for Jews, right? Like there are Jews that end up hunting, but it's not really a Jewish thing. We believe that should be delegated to one person that really just makes their livelihood to help the rest of the community, and they're the ones that kill this animal in a humane way so that we can have meat and we can eat it in a holy way. But it's not like Jews are excited about like going out and like hunting and killing animals. It's not what we do, and I don't really look good in camouflage. It's not something So Esav would always he was about hunting. He was about war. He was always making fights. And like any good parent, parents wanna see the good in their child. And because Esav was supposed to have the birthright, Isaac would always try and impart spirituality onto him, and it was kind of getting to him, but he really he gravitated more towards the blood and hunting. And Yaakov, I'm using their Hebrew name. Jacob, Abraham, Avraham is a Hebrew word for it. Isaac, Yitzhak. My wife's father's name is Yitzhak. Esav is just Esav. And then Yaakov became Jacob, is the Hebrew name. So he would always, he saw that Jacob was more holy, and what ended up happening was Jacob knew that he couldn't let the birthright go to this violent brother of his. So there's a story about that he was coming home from hunting. Esav was coming home from hunting, and he had this red soup, like a red lentil soup. Everything he gravitated towards red. Even in vegan, he was like eating like red lentil soup. And so he was coming back from hunting, and he sold his birthright to Yaakov. He had this blessed gift, and he said, okay, I'll give you some of this soup, if you sell me your birthright. And it just shows how much he really didn't care about the spirituality, that he just said, all right, give me the soup. Yeah, here's the birthright. It wasn't like he pleaded for it. He just like traded it off. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about Israel because I lived there for a year. There's things in this story that relate to Israel. Abraham dug all these wells, right? Wells represent sustenance and abundance, and in an ancient world, like water was really scarce. There was always famines and things, and he had this talent for like knowing where there was water, and he would dig these wells, and it would fed and nourished different people, and then people closed up the wells. It's very interesting how chaos and non-spirituality, people take gifts and they just destroy them. And that's what those people were. They weren't, they weren't monotheists. They destroyed things that were beautiful and holy and made life harder for themselves. They would sacrifice their kids, and they would sacrifice water to the multi-gods. So Isaac came along, and instead of doing his own spirituality, he was preserving Abraham's spirituality by finding those wells that he dug and bringing abundance to the world. He didn't do his own thing. He was just bringing back his father's gifts to remind the world of this. And these other people would destroy the wells again. Just want to talk about Israel because there's a lot of bad information, misinformation, untruths about Israel, and you've probably heard a lot of them, occupiers, things like that. And I want to talk about Gaza and just like show that this is like, it's still going on, the same type of things. The Jewish people are giving gifts to the world, and then other people destroy it and say, oh, there was no gifts, right? That's really what this is about. Like, we bless the world with these gifts, and we have kindness. What more is water is one of the 4 elements of earth, earth, fire, sand, earth, water, fire, wind, right? These are the elements of the world, and we bless the world with nourishment, and very often they don't want it, So there's a story about in Gaza. People don't know about this, that in 2005 there was 250 Israelis living in Gaza, and for peace they pulled out first time in history this ever happened. The Israeli government pulled out 250,000 Israelis that were living there and gave this land to the Palestinians that are living there. Some of the people identify as Palestinians, some identify as other Arab groups, and they gave this land to them. And with it, they say this in Hillary Clinton's book. If you're a liberal, right? She talks about this. I haven't read the book. I've been told it's on page 2. I don't know. But so anyway, they pulled out. They ripped. This never happened in history for peace. And they gave them millions of dollars of infrastructure and buildings and greenhouses filled with water and plants. And within 48 hours, a terrorist group called Hamas, which is still ruling Gaza with an iron fist, came along and destroyed it all. Millions of dollars that was given as a gift to them, destroyed it all. And then till this day said, oh, there was nothing, they didn't give us anything, and they destroyed it. There's records of this. So it's a similar thing that's still happening, and it's important that we, as truth tellers, say that this is what happened, and not ignore that. And I'm bothered lately. I'm reading this wonderful book. I recommend you get it. It's by Noah Tishby. She is an Israeli ambassador from America to Israel, and she was an actress and model, and she still produces films and things like that. And it's really brilliant stuff. She doesn't talk about God. She talks about archaeology and history and things like that. And I just highly recommend it. It's really blowing my mind, like how much information there is, just archaeological, that Jews lived in this land for thousands of years, even in Gaza, even in what we call the West Bank now. And I urge you to educate yourself, because there's so much misinformation out there, and it kills me, because we're digging wells. We're still digging wells as Jewish people for people to have peace and health and nourishment. So I just want to say that. Thank you so much. Oh, Noah Tishby, and the book is called Israel. Just call it. I'm listening to it on Audible because I like that. Noah Tishby, yeah. If you look up Noah Tish, you could see her. She's got all over the place, and she's really brilliant and stands up for Israel and speaking truth. Bill Maher, I'm a big fan of Bill Maher. Real Time with Bill Maher. He's really pro-Israel. He's really great, and he shows the truth around it. And he recommended her book, like it's one of the things in the back. Okay, so we turn to page 284. 284, and we stand for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה לעוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני, page 287, למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. Okay, we now take a seat. We now say the mourner's Kaddish for anyone that's lost a loved one. Oh, we did Meir Shabbat already. Yeah. No, please, if there's someone that you wanted to say, if someone remembered anybody that they want to say a healing prayer for, feel free to share it now. If there's anyone, just to say the name out loud is, I think, healing sometimes. Okay, page 294. Is there anybody that has lost a loved one? There's an anniversary of a passing, or someone in recently. Does anyone want to say a name? Okay. We turn 224. Some people, it's part of the tradition to stand. Traditionally, only the mourners stand, but whatever your tradition is, feel free to stand or sit. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba, yalma divrach yiroteh v'yamlich malchoteh, b'chayachon u'v'yomachon u'v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agla v'zman kariv v'yimru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mivarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithala v'yitalal, shmei d'kudashah brechu, le'ala min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, v'almiran b'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba miv shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Ose shalom b'mermav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Ose shalom b'mermav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru, amen. Okay, we end. Actually, we're going to do, I said I'm going to do this a little different, that traditionally, like, we changed it in the Reform movement in the sense that we do the wine in the beginning of the service, and we also do Shalom Aleichem in the beginning of the service. Shalom Aleichem is a song that we do welcoming the angels. It's usually after we come home from synagogue, and we sing it either as we're walking home or when we get home. I do it with my wife and her family. They're Kabbalists, meaning they're mystics. They're traditional, but they come from a mystical tradition of, talking more about angels and soul and afterlife and reincarnation and stuff. All these things Jews believe in. Heaven, reincarnation, things like that. And so we do it at home. I'm going to do it at home when we get home. So I'm going to do it at the end today because I feel it's like that's where it belongs. And we're going to end with Adon Olam, and then we'll do Shalom Aleichem, welcoming the angels. There's positive angels and there's negative angels, and depending on how we observe Shabbat and how we're joyous and things like that, we bring more joy. Or if we're negative, we bring more negativity. It's basically karma, and so we'll do that, and then we'll do the wine blessing, and then we'll do challah blessing, which is the usual order it's done. So we end on, I think, Adon Olam is page 321, I think. 321, yeah, page 321. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'ed nasa v'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra v'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora nivra, vehu haya, vehu hove, vehu yeh, v'tipara, vehu echad, v'ein sheni, lehamshilo, lehachbira, b'li reshit, b'li tachlit, velos, v'hamisra, vehu eli, v'chai goali, v'tzorchem li, v'et tzara, vehu nisi, lemanos li, menat kosi, b'yom ekra, b'yado avki ruchi, b'et ishan ve'ayira, b'im ruchi v'viati, Adonai ve'lo hira. Okay, we turn to page 24 for Shalom Aleichem, welcoming the angels. I'm just curious, I think we're always kind of embarrassed about like our faith or lack of faith or confusion about faith, right? And I think it's so important to be able to be honest about that in a religious or spiritual community, right? Like the Torah talks about this, that even the greatest, in 1 second they're doubtful of God. And it's important that why it shows that is we're allowed to wrestle with this. We're allowed to be confused about this. We're allowed to go, oh, what is this about, right? So just curiosity, who believes in angels? Yeah, snow angels, right? So we don't have to believe in angels, we can believe in energy, right? Angels, we think of as wings or something like that. There is Kabbalistic concepts about what angels appear to be, right? It's beyond we can't see them, right? So it's beyond our human comprehension. But the people that are really spiritual say that angels have one leg. They have a face around their face, so there's faces on all different sides. Like if you do see them, it's not like you'll never see a back of a head. There's a face all around. It just appears that way. So singing this, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We turn back to the beginning where the blessing of the wine is listed. You don't have to drink wine. It could be grape juice. Page 5. Usually, when we say blessing over wine during the week, it's just one little, this Berei Pri Hagafen, that's first sentence. But for Shabbat, we add more prayers to elevate even more. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei Pri Hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, בשבת קודשו באהבה ורצון, הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה וראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא אל קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים. בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. And you guys sing, Amen. All right. And last but not least, a blessing over the bread. Jen, do you know this? Do you know the... Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. All right, you guys, take as many as you want. We got plenty, Take double, please, take double. Here we go. Yeah, it's not as good as Rose. All right. We got more. Please take. We have a little kiddush in the back. Oneg, also called oneg, which means delight. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is great. I didn't say anything about Thanksgiving, but I remember a couple years ago, there was Hanukkah, the Jewish calendar, it always changes. It's not according to the Gregorian calendar, which we use in America and the rest of the world. So for the first time in I think it's 100-something years, Hanukkah falls out on Thanksgiving. So there was all these posters for Thanksgivica, right? It was all this combination we had. It was cool. We had all this food and latkes too. Please, guys, take more. Yeah. If you want to take home, you can take. We're just gonna leave it. Glenn, pass it around. Please take two. Seriously, we're not. Glenn, please. Okay. I get it. Me too, man.